Yeah. Greetings, R. Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 58. And you may be getting tired of hearing about this, but the California fires are still going on. And this is update number 2, so it's a third issue of our third day in which I've discussed the California fires. Now, before I get started, I want to bring you up to date a little bit. In earlier posts on the fires, I have praised both Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass. I refrained from any criticism because I simply didn't know the facts. Now those facts are coming out. Cal Thomas, a respected commentator on the news of the day, has written a column entitled "There Are Many to Blame for LA's Ring of Fire." Nice title, Ring of Fire there. I will break that column down and comment at frequent intervals. And I just want you to see that this is coming out of the paper here. By the way, this cartoon here, you can't make it out, but as the award season nears, Hollywood already has its best supporting actors. And you see a fireman right here. Okay. So, but anyhow, this is an article that is just why it really gets into it. A lot of facts that Cal Thomas is bringing out. And I think the best way to go is to read what he has to say and then for me to comment on it. My comments will probably be brief. He pretty well covers it. So, first of all, let's see here. When a politician says don't politicize a significant event like the fires that have swept Los Angeles County, it's a good bet they are attempting to divert attention and shield themselves from the consequences of their inaction. Such is the case with California Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, who seem to be blaming others. So he's right. When a politician, or for that matter, anyone in a position of authority starts pointing fingers, it is wise to look at those being pointed and the ones doing the pointing. There's an old saying applies: when you point or have one finger pointing at you, there are 3 other fingers pointing back at me. So as you can see, I got 3 fingers pointing right back at me. It's an old saying, cliche, but it really is true. And so we will continue on now. Let's pick this up here. Mayor Bass, traveled to Ghana for a wedding after the National Weather Service issued a fire watch, citing critical fire conditions. Let me just pause there. This is a comment, not scheduled, but it's this comment, doesn't mean it. Is that right there, she should have considered that. She had duties as a mayor that yes, I have nothing against going to weddings and stuff like that, but she had duties as a mayor, and she sacrificed those duties, and apparently didn't have somebody who would trust in her place as she left. The inaction that followed would suggest that, but let me pick it up. The following day, the watches were upgraded to warnings. Meteorologists advised that a particularly dangerous situation was developing. Upon her return, Bass refused to answer a reporter's questions. At a news conference, she read a statement saying Angelenos need to stay united. The first responsibility of government is to preserve lives and property. By that measure, Bass failed. She also has deflected questions about budget cuts to the Los Angeles Fire Department. So, if you remember, I praised the mayors what appeared to me to be a fast reaction uh, to these fires breaking out. But now the facts are coming out, and we find that she actually failed in her position as a mayor. She had a duty to stay on top of it. Going to the wedding, she may have somebody who could sit in her place. But as soon as that fire broke out, she should have been on a plane back home, wedding or not. That her responsibilities took priority, or should have taken priority. So my earlier praise is now tempered by her inaction prior to the fire. That inaction counters her later action as too late and too little. Let's move on. The New York Post, citing sources, reported Bass rejected offers for help from the FDNY. That's the FDNY. Oh, that's a fire department from New York. Despite LA not having enough firefighters to battle the out-of-control blazes. Governor Newsom, a Democrat, tried to shift blame for the lack of water to extinguish the fires on local authorities. Newton appeared more focused on DEI sanctuary cities, Trump-proofing the state and protecting a fish than protecting lives and property. Newsom has also given into pressure from environmentalists who don't want the removal of forest underbrush, which serves as fuel for this and previous fires. Let me pause there. First of all, on Mayor Bass, that she just continued on, and she actually refused help that was offered to her. I don't know why. Perhaps it's personal pride. Maybe she didn't understand the consequences, the enormity of that fire. But whatever it was a bad decision. And when by itself it's just a bad decision, but when you couple it with all the other things that she's already done, it's just a track record. And so now we bring in Governor Newsom, who we've pointed out is a Democrat. There wouldn't make any difference, Democrat or Republican, doing these things would have been bad, wrong, outrageous. But because one of the reasons I think that's pointed out that he's a Democrat is that he's found a Democratic agenda. And so that's what I'm getting out of it anyhow. So let me read this. Governor Newsom, a Democrat, tried to shift blame for the lack of water to extinguish the fires on local authorities. Now, let's stop there and look at that again. Again, he did what politicians and others in authority often do. He blamed others. In this case, he blamed local authorities. You can read that as blaming the mayor, which we've already identified as a person at least partially to blame. So he had evidence that could back him up on it. He conveniently ignored evidence about himself, of course. But I believe that the governor's political agenda outweighed the lives of people and endangered them. That is always a bad thing. Moving on, Newsom and the Democrat legislature might also be blamed for placing caps on insurance premiums, causing several big companies to quit the state, leaving many without adequate and affordable fire insurance. The Daily Mail reports that Janice Canones, the city's water chief, knew about empty reservoir and broken hydrants months before the fires started. Canones is paid $750,000 a year. The Los Angeles Times reported a major Palisades reservoir was offline and empty when fires broke out. Now, this guy was only on the job, I think, for 7 months. So how much he could have done, I don't know. But at least he could have pointed out the dangers of what was going on and the need to prevent these. It's not like this fire was something that was out of the ordinary as far as fires breaking out. California has decades long uh, record of fires breaking out, and as well as earthquakes and sand erosion, or beach erosion, I guess you'd call it. And so they have a lot of issues there, and he should have been on top of this, but he wasn't. So he's the water chief. He knew information that, if acted upon, may have saved lives. But instead, he did nothing. And then going back to the Democratic legislature in Newsom, they have acted in ways that cause insurance companies to leave the state. Now, they've left our state too, but for different reasons. Our state is actually trying to make things a little bit easier for the insurance companies, but at the same time, they are not trying to. They're not trying to destroy the companies. They understand that insurance is important to have, and so it's a delicate uh, trail that has to be walked between increasing premiums and having adequate insurance. Here in Florida, I think Governor DeSantis is doing a very good job of walking that narrow path. Newsom did not. He went full in on the environmentalists and so forth. And again, we have endangered lives by those decisions. In 2014, voters, I'm going to change this a little bit here, just to make it a little easier to read. In 2014, voters approved a measure allowing the state to borrow $7.5 billion to build reservoirs to store water. They were never built. As for the voters, it would be interesting if a network or newspaper reporter asked this question of people who complain about the lack of leadership in California. Did you vote for Newsom and Bass? Must I repeat the definition of insanity about repeatedly doing the same thing while expecting different results? Hollywood celebrities, some of those whose homes have been destroyed, have overwhelmingly supported Democrats. Not this time. I'll pause there. And the voters did their part, but the government failed to follow through with implementing the law. That is dereliction of duty, or worse. And now now we're bringing in the Hollywood celebrities. And those celebrities are turning against the very people that they were instrumental in getting into office. Why? Well, let's follow up on that. So this here is the typical of the outrage. Now we're talking about the celebrities here. Typical of the outrage was actor James Woods, whose house was left standing in the Palisades fire. Woods wrote on X that the wildfires weren't caused by climate change. Catch that? Were not caused by climate change, but by liberal idiots like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Too bad he can't express himself. Actor Mel Gibson, whose $14.5 million house was destroyed, told podcaster Joe Rogan, Newsom didn't do anything. I think all our tax dollars probably went to Gavin's hair gel. It's sad. The place is just on fire. When you turn people against you, they can come out with some very funny, and it's not only funny, but downright cruel, responses. Here's another one. Shazam star Zachary Levi appeared on Fox News to voice frustration with California politicians. This is just incredible mismanagement, incredibly poor leadership. I would go so far as to say that it is criminally negligent. The actor has previously described himself as a libertarian and backed Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaign before switching his support to Donald Trump. What will happen to the Olympic Games scheduled for 2028 in Los Angeles? What will happen to the political careers of Bass? Petitions are circulating calling for her to resign. And Gavin Newsom's fading presidential prospects. The LA fires may have also damaged their political futures beyond repair. The outrage is understandable. Now that his base is crumbling, maybe the governor will reevaluate his priorities. But don't hold your breath. I really don't see that happening. These are politicians that don't deserve a political career. They have been shown to be incompetent. That is pretty much it as far as covering the fire is concerned. I just want you to understand this. These are not people who normally are against the Democrats. They have aligned themselves over and over with the Democratic Party. It was almost like a rubber stamp. And now all of a sudden, the Democratic Party, or the influential portion of the Democratic Party, Hollywood is a strong supporter of the Democrats. There are those who don't, when we saw that here. But they're strong supporters up until now. Now they're questioning their support. And some of them have actually turned to Trump and helped him get elected. And we'll see how that pays out over the years before, or from now on, going forward. But it's certainly a problem for the Democratic Party. They have some broken sticks to fix. Broken ego. They have some egos out there they got to deal with. Newsom has an ego. Bass has an ego. Whether that petition is going to work, getting her back, forcing her to resign, or do they have to wait for an election? Again, we'll have to wait. But my opinion of the two of them wasn't very high to begin with, but I found measures to praise them at first. But now that praise is gone because in both cases, the mayor and the governor, they acted way too late and too little. The fire was already burning. The homes were already being destroyed. Lives were being destroyed and they lost by the time they got around to taking action. And that's really not only outrageous, but from a political point of view, it is unforgivable. When you put somebody into office, you expect them to have priorities. And those priorities are their constituents. And if they're a state official, the state and the constituent. I would put it this way: the state first and the constituent second. Same thing with the United States. The United States first, then your constituents. I just think that that's the way it's supposed to go. You might disagree with me on that, but I think you would agree that it is a high priority. And they failed miserably. And so all my praise is taken back. It just, if I had known what was going on their record, their sorry record, I would not have given that. But I live in Florida and California. It's not something I really worry about too much. Uh, I'm more concerned about Florida. I'm more concerned about my community that I live in, things of that nature. So uh, this is a tragedy that should never have happened. So that is my opinion on the fire. I don't know if there's going to be another one. It could very well be. But did you like this? Have you liked my reporting on this? My way of breaking things down, and the fact, by the way, that I was willing to retract my earlier praise to give them the due criticism that they had coming. If you like this channel and you're not subscribed, then why not? Right here, down below here, using the icon below, just subscribe to it. Click on there and subscribe. And that will ensure that you will have access to both my podcasts. I have Christian News and Views, which you're watching right now, and Becoming a Published Author is Fun. That particular podcast is aimed at people who want to become writers, authors. And I have a course which I teach. I'm not only a commentator, I'm an author, I'm a publisher, I'm a teacher, and I am uh, I always said publisher. Oh, I am a teacher and a coach. That's the word I was trying to think of, was coach. Because what I do is I get one-on-one coaching with the people. Well, what I am doing in that podcast is I'm taking information from this paid-for course and bringing it up and making it freely available to people who want to be a published author. And this information that will help them. They want to go do it alone, do it by themselves, that's fine. It's going to be a lot of hard work. But here's some information they can use. And so that is a free, just like this is free, free podcast that if you want to be a writer or an author, you're going to get usable information that can help transform you, or at least get you on a better playing field, if you will. But it also, when you do that, when you subscribe, you are encouraging me. So I know you may not really care about me being encouraged, but it does encourage me, and I encourage you to subscribe. And if you do that, I have been and will continue to do all in my power to create episodes that will inform, encourage, and inspire you. That is my promise to you. I try every time I do a podcast to keep that promise. With that said, I will see you in the next episode.